Hello everybody, I'm Gary Massa with Pacific Sotheby's International Realty, and thanks for joining me today. Here at Massa & Associates Real Estate Group, we spend lots of time and hard work helping you achieve the American dream. But what happens after you buy that home of your dreams? How do we protect it? I've invited a couple very special guests today, some very good friends of mine and experts in the estate planning field from Duisters and Parvizi, Chantal Duisters and Nassaran Parvizi. Thanks for coming on today. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
You said our names perfectly.
Yeah,
Thank
that was
you.
hard.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So, like I said, I wanted to invite you in here, do a quick little video for my clients, friends, family. There seems to be a lot of questions around trusts and what is a trust, and I can't always answer them correctly. So I wanted to do this so we can bring some value, answer some questions, and maybe help people understand, if they need or don't need a trust, and kind of answer some of those questions that come up more often for myself before I send people to you.
Perfect.
Okay, so let's just jump right into it.
Yeah.
Sounds good? Okay, so first question is, what is a trust and who would be a good candidate for a trust?
So in your industry, actually, this is a topic that comes up very constant because there's, the purchase of property or the sale of property. But to keep it, it's kind of a broad question because a lot of people, almost most people, especially in Southern California, is a candidate for a trust. Now, Nassaran and I always say there's a line at about $150,000 in total assets where you should start asking yourself, hey, I should have something in place. Should it be a trust? Should it be a will? But that $150,000 marker in California is what subjects you to probate court. So what many people don't understand, and it's very detrimental if you own property, is if you do not have a trust in place and do not have your assets titled to the trust, God forbid you were to pass away, you would go through a very timely and expensive and difficult process called probate. There's one probate court right now in San Diego County that's handling everybody's cases. So as you can imagine, it's extremely backed up.
Yeah.
But what happens with this is it subjects loved ones to, a very emotional process at an emotional time where they have to kind of figure out how to pick up the pieces and end up spending more money than they would have had they have just set up their estate plan. Where this is very difficult in your industry, Gary, as a realtor, is the market's always changing.
Right.
So if there's a house that's there that is not in a trust and cannot be distributed at a timely manner, 3 years from now when the probate court allows it, it might be too late, or the market may have completely dropped. Maybe it'll go up, but we don't know that.
Right.
So it's very, very important to consider your assets and understand, well, hey, what's going to happen to them if I don't decide on my own where it's going to go? And the issue is that a lot of times also through the probate court, your heirs, who maybe are individuals who you don't want to inherit from your assets, would be entitled to through the court process.
Right. And you mentioned a 3-year time period, possibly.
Possibly.
It sounds like a really long time, but somebody's going to have to be making the mortgage payments on those during that time, and
Right.
that could fall on somebody who really can't afford it during that time.
Right.
So that could be detrimental, I would imagine, to some family members.
Completely
Absolutely.
detrimental.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So what are the most common misconceptions about a trust? I hear questions all the time. I hear people tell me what they think a trust is, and from what I know, it doesn't make sense, or I learn some things
Right.
often, or what I've even had some misconceptions. So
Right.
what's the biggest misconception question that you get, and how would you answer that?
Well, we get a few, but I think, the most common is people have a will in place and they think that's enough. The issue is, like Chantal mentioned, if you're over the $150,000, just having a will in place will not protect you from probate court. You still would need a trust. So that's a huge misconception that people have. We usually recommend wills for people with smaller estates, below that threshold, maybe they're younger, just starting off. In that case, yes, temporarily a will could be enough for you. Another, misconception is people think that just having a trust in place protects their assets in it. And that is not the case either. There's a difference. The trust that we create and most attorneys create is called a revocable living trust. And that's just mostly to avoid probate and making
Okay.
sure we honor your wishes and it goes to the right beneficiaries. There are tools and different things you could do to protect your assets. And that could be, creating maybe LLCs for some investment properties. But other than that, the trust itself is not an asset protection.
Okay, from creditors or lawsuits or something like that.
Right. I mean, there's language we could put in a trust for certain, for your future beneficiaries for their protection. There's different things, language we could put in there, but overall, it's not an asset protection.
Interesting.
Yes.
Okay. And what about, we keep talking about the assets, right?
Right.
As our dollars, our home, the physical assets, but what about our most prized asset, like our family? How does that protect or offer protections for our family?
And it is definitely, in our opinion, the most prized asset. It shocks us when we have clients who have minor children and haven't thought about the things, or when we have to tell them what would happen if they don't set something up. So the way a trust works is it allows you to decide how you'd like your assets to pass after your death. Now, why is this important? With minor children, you do not want some child to receive outright, whether it's $500,000 or a couple $1,000,000 that you're leaving behind, or a home. A lot of our clients, we have found when we educate them about this process, they'd like to set some special directives to assure that, maybe their children receive some extra money here and there, some incentives. And a little control beyond the grave, but to make sure their wishes are carried through as if they were still alive and their children were doing the things that they would have expected them to do as parents.
Right.
Now, another very important thing that many people don't realize, and it's a spot of contention for a lot of families when we go through this, is, well, if both parents have passed away, now who raises the child? One of the biggest arguments we see, between spouses, because they don't think about it. But unfortunately, if they don't think about it and they don't set it up, the child will go to foster care until that's decided. And there is a court process for custody, and this is where we see, the nasty side of this, because you have family members or even friends sometimes trying to go prove a point as to why they should receive custody. And unfortunately, sometimes the reason why an individual would fight for custody could be for financial incentives for themselves. So you really, really want to decide whether it's a friend or you don't want them to be with certain family. You want to decide that while you're alive to make sure that, your child doesn't have to be in this tug of war for who knows how long until the court decides who the child should go to.
Right, so kind of like immediately they can get placed with the right person,
Correct.
Not have to go to a foster home or anything like that. I mean, that sounds horrible.
It does, and financially too, you want to make sure you designate the appropriate and responsible individual to handle the finances for the benefit of the child, because that could get very messy, and people can use the funds inappropriately.
Okay,
Right.
Makes sense. Well, we've talked a lot about the benefits of and the assets in our family. If somebody gets to the point where they are feeling like this might be something that they need to explore further, what would they expect the process to be like?
Well, first, we'd like to meet with the client. We'd like to offer a free consultation, and the reason why there's not a one-size-fits-all. We need to understand your family situation, the type of assets you have, and what your wishes are when you pass. After that, we would give you a questionnaire. Again, we need to collect some information. This is a different type of area of law where you need to cooperate with your attorney, because we're not going to know what you have, how your family situation is. So we would
Right.
need that, that cooperation, basically. So, after we get that questionnaire back, we start drafting. After everything is done, we review the trust and make sure that we've captured their wishes.
Okay.
And overall, we always say at the end of it, our clients will sometimes tell us, wow, this, wasn't really as bad as we thought. Now I have peace of mind. I could really go home and I'm proud of myself. And it's
Right.
really, that's the feeling we want our clients to feel. We're always all about being very hands-on and, supporting them through this process and making it as smooth and easy as possible.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you also mentioned something about having to record or bring all the assets into the trust once you put it together.
Yes, and this is where we always hear people talking about, well, I just went on LegalZoom and I have the paperwork sitting at home. Well, people don't understand, with a trust, it's critical that you fund your trust. Now, what does funding mean? It's basically talking about retitling assets in the name of your trust. So, for example, we take the deed to your property and we will claim it into the name of the new trust that we've created for you.
Okay.
So this is a very important process, and for those of you who think you have a trust, just making sure that everything has been titled properly in the name of your trust.
Okay. And how long would you say this process would take generally?
Well, if our clients cooperate with us, it could take anywhere, from start to finish, a month a month to 2 months.
Yes.
2, I would say maximum. I think Nasaran and I, once we get the ball rolling, because we're in such a sensitive field, I think there's something within us that feels like, okay, now we need to get this done, because it's so incredibly important. So we like to do it as fast as we can. However, obviously there's time involved for drafting, and again, if the client cooperates, are they available? Are they giving us the information we need? Because we can only do so much on our own without having the appropriate information.
That makes sense. Okay, so basically to wrap this up, and last question, I guess this is really from me, is, what would you want everybody to know or take away from the video? Like any tips or any, best practices or something that you'd like to just make sure everyone takes away from this?
Well, I always say, you spent a lifetime accumulating assets, and, you have your loved ones, your family, and you should be the one deciding where you want everything to go. You plan for everything else in your life. Everybody's a planner. But this is one area people just feel, well, I'll be gone, somebody will figure it out, but it's not that easy. So just, for your peace of mind and for your loved one's peace of mind, I would say it's critical, if you don't have anything in place, to really, start the process. If you do already have something in place and it's been years since you looked at it last, well, go review it, making sure that it's still, your wishes are intact and it's exactly how you want everything to be distributed.
Okay, cool. Chantal, anything to add?
Yeah, along those lines, I think just the starting point is this video, and it's to educate yourself on the topic, because a lot of people maybe have misconceptions like we discussed, or just don't want to hear about it, and it really is not as bad as people may feel. I think we both went into this field because we like more of the emotion-based one-on-one with our clientele, and I think that everyone should at least take, whether it's 30 minutes or an hour with us or someone else, to understand truly what the process is and what happens if you don't have the appropriate documents set up. And I think once they do that, people understand the need and the importance. I mean, the first step is obviously with you getting a beautiful home or selling their home and purchasing another one, but then how do you protect that? I mean, what's going to happen to that? So I think just starting with this video is a good start.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I really hope everyone got some value out of this today. And last thing, if somebody wanted to contact you to get some more questions answered, how would they do that?
They could call us, so 619-375-0077, or visit our website, dplawca.
Okay, or you can contact me. I'm happy to put you in contact with them. Ladies, thanks again for joining me today.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks again for watching the video. If you have any questions, please let us know, and have a fantastic day.